Hello, and welcome to the Irish Gaze podcast. This is going to be our second recorded podcast. It's going to be our first in our football category. I think we're going to try and do mainly at the start. I think we're going to try and cover English football at the start, maybe a bit of Premier League and things like that. There'll be a bit of stuff covering on the continent. We're going to cover a wee bit of continental football too, a few historical things as well, maybe wee throwbacks and stuff of that nature. So there's going to be a lot of different content in our football, but as far as our segments goes, football is going to be a main one. It's the 20th of January, so we're going to record this tonight. So if there's any updates on what's happening, Liverpool's still going to win the league. So it's, regardless, we're going to record this tonight. So if there's anything that people take issue with, it's sort of from now. I'm joined by Christopher, Big Dev, and
I've finally made my appearance.
Yes, nice to see you, Dev. How are you getting on?
I'm getting on good. It's always nice to see you, Eddie.
Oh, well, the feeling's mutual.
I'm Dave, and apparently I've adopted the hosting role in this carry-on, so...
Divvy's the host of the show, so...
We're doing alright.
Yeah.
But tonight we've seen a lot of content people putting on YouTube and different football channels of their teams of the decade. So we thought we'd change it up a wee touch, and we'll probably get this horribly wrong, but
we're looking ahead, aren't we?
We're absolutely right.
We're looking ahead. I'm just going to go horribly wrong. Do you ever see them? Like basically what we're going to do is we're going to try and predict a team of the decade for the Premier League
for 2030.
From now for the 2020s. For the 20s. It's getting a wee bit weird that it's the 20s now, like,
isn't it?
Oh,
yeah.
It is.
Strange, like.
But we're going to try and predict it. We're going to keep it from players that are playing in English football at the minute. Like if Mbappe turns up and plays for Liverpool, which I really hope happens.
Haaland to Manchester United.
Oh, well, he's at Dortmund, lad. It's not. We haven't done that, right? But we're just gonna keep it with people that are in England currently, because we can't predict who's going to turn up, even though Mbappe 2020 is a thing.
Stop it.
Did you see him? He was talking today about how good Liverpool are and all that sort of carry on. So we've got two United fans, and I myself I'm Liverpool. So we're going to try and predict this here tonight. We're going to try and make like a combined 11 of young players that we think could, like, they may not be the best players come the end of the decade, but could maybe make an impact if they're there for 6, 7, 8 years of this decade that are in the Premier League. We've tried to keep it under the age of 23, because that's the youth team players, and
it's a good age too, because it's players that'll, if they do stay in the Premier League, will play for the whole decade in the Premier League.
Yeah, pretty much.
Rather than going for someone who's older and maybe only have a few years in the decade.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be hard to put them into a decade 11.
And then we've pushed for 25 for keepers, haven't we?
Yeah, well, keepers can go a bit longer.
So we've given
we went for 25 for keepers, but the correct answer for the keeper of the decade is going to be Alisson.
Stop it.
That's not what I've got.
So whoever we put out here, I know Alisson's 27, so he doesn't qualify. But
yes.
But the answer is Alisson.
I'm actually kind of surprised,
37-year-old Alisson will be tearing it up in 2030.
I actually sort of was surprised that Alisson's maybe I thought maybe he was a wee bit younger, like 24, 25.
27, not 27.
So
good age for a keeper.
He's near done then.
Well, if he starts to cry like the guy, he will be.
Right, so we're gonna kick us off. We're gonna start with our keepers. Everybody's gonna make a bit of a pitch of some sort of description, and we're gonna try and agree. We'll probably argue and shout at each other for a large portion of this podcast.
But by the end of this, we will hopefully have an 11 down that we all agree on, and we can give it to you, and then we can look back in 10 years and realise how horribly we got it wrong.
I've seen some awful ones that like Micah Richards and stuff, like who England's next team was going to be, who's England's next great players is going to be, in 10 years time or whatever, and there's maybe like 2 right. Nobody's got anything right, so this is going to be
interesting.
If we're all living in here in 10 years time.
Well, this is another issue altogether. Yeah.
Well, let's hope we're out of the shed by 10 years time.
Yes.
Hashtag get us out of the shed.
Get us out of the shed. Which... There's nothing wrong with the shed. It's actually very cozy. It's very, very cozy.
Well, it's a top quality shed.
That's part.
Right. Well, we'll kick us off then. Sure, we'll start with keepers. Does anybody?
Well, I could jump in first.
Go on ahead, Kirby.
Because I have decided to go with Dean Henderson.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Dean Henderson is 22 years of age. Last season in the Championship, playing for Sheffield United, he had played 46 matches for them, every game in the Championship, and kept 21 clean sheets. This season, as we're recording, he's got 22 games under his belt, 8 clean sheets. He's only conceded 19, and bar Liverpool, Sheffield United have the best defence and they conceded the least goals in the league. I think he's going to be the future England number one. I think he could be the future Manchester United number one. And I think in 10 years' time, at him at 32 years of age, we'll look back and say he was fantastic.
That's not bad.
And I think he'll wrestle that. I think within the next 2 to 3 years, he'll wrestle that England number one jersey off Pickford, because let's be honest, Pickford's a joke.
I don't know how Pickford has it at the minute.
I would give it to Henderson now. I think he's already better than Pickford, and he's only 22.
Pickford's only got little arms.
That is very true.
Dev has a thing. I think, like, if you wanted to describe Dev as a football manager, you'd be like Neil Warnock. Like, Dev loves a good championship player.
Oh,
Dev does.
A good championship story.
A good championship story.
Boys, Henderson has already proved this season he's much better than a championship player. If he doesn't break into the United team ahead of David De Gea, someone else is going to pick him up in the league and he's going to be fantastic.
Is he on loan?
He's on loan to Sheffield United. He's been on loan there last season in the championship, and then he went on loan this season. But eventually he's going to get the Manchester United number one shirt, I believe. Mm-hmm. And I also believe that, he's going to be the England number one. He's the best English keeper coming through. He's fantastic. They've got the best, they've only conceded 19 goals at the time of recording.
They're doing right thing.
I've also went for Dean Henderson.
Yes.
Right,
so I've took a look at the keepers that are 25 and under. I will give you a list of the keepers that I've stacked. I can't really. Dev's given a good example there of why he's a good contender, and he's pretty much got the same stats I have. I've also put down Angus Gunn for Southampton as well.
Angus Gunn's not bad.
He's not bad, but
I wouldn't put him in the level of Henderson, but he definitely deserves to be in the conversation.
There's also Aaron Ramsdale.
Ramsdale's a good keeper.
Mm-hmm. I know they're struggling at the minute. They're conceding a lot of goals, but there's potential with them. I have down
a lot of saves, but they are conceding a lot of goals. And
I've also got Kepa. But
I went with Kepa.
You went with Kepa. I probably should have went round to you first and said, who have you got?
Like, obviously now, we may as well just skip this bit because Kepa's not getting in. But I went with Kepa. I don't know. I think Kepa's having a wee bit of. I think he's having a little bit of David De Gea sort of syndrome early on. It's like he's quite slight.
What you have to remember is when David De Gea made his start, he was 19 or 20. Kepa's not 19 or 20. By the time David De Gea was, what age is Kepa now? 24?
He's 24.
25. By the time David De Gea was 25, he was the best keeper in the league. Or up there.
Fair point.
Kepa's not.
Well, I think he's a good shot stopper. He's already...
That's a lot by him.
But then it's a young.
I just couldn't
Chelsea
like him.
backline at the minute. Frank Lampard's very attacking. He was conceding quite a stack of goals when he was playing for Derby too. It's the 20th of January, so it's kind of as we're recording this, Chelsea have kind of hit sort of a bit of a blip and stuff like that. There when you're playing with the likes of Tomori and now these players definitely look like they have a good bit of potential, but
to bring him in for them to be looking for another goalkeeper for them till It just shows he's maybe not good enough. In 10 years, I would be very surprised if he was still in the Premier League or if he was still at a top team.
It could be surprising. The one thing that is a problem for this is there's nobody really. There's not many keepers under 24, 25 that have outrightly established themselves as a world class keeper. Everybody knows keepers get better as they age. A keeper's prime is maybe 27, 28 to 32, 33.
But I would make the argument now that Henderson is a far better goalkeeper than Kepa at the minute, and Henderson's 3 years younger.
Fair point. I think I've lost this anyway.
We've agreed we're going to go with Dean Henderson.
Dean Henderson.
Dean Henderson
has made it into the 11.
So
we're going to write this down so at the end of recording that we don't actually forget who we've agreed on.
So we'll move on to right backs, and then Dave.
I'm going to be very stabby if this answer isn't a unanimous. It's Trent Alexander-Arnold here.
Well, I would like to say that I have gone with Wan-Bissaka. But hear me out. Hear me out. With Aaron Wan-Bissaka, he's made 6.5 tackles per game, which is the most for any United player in any position since Up the Records began 13 years ago. He's a fantastic right back. He lacks attacking ability. And I did have Trent Alexander-Arnold in my team and I scored him out, and I'll tell you why. And I might be completely wrong with this, but I say in 3 years Trent Alexander-Arnold will be in the midfield. He'll be in a winger role. I can't see Trent. He's very good at going forward. He's even good defensively, but I just can't see him being a right back for too much longer. I could be wrong, but under Klopp, as long as Klopp's at Liverpool, I think Klopp, with the way he plays with his fullbacks, Trent will be a right back. But as soon as Klopp leaves and someone else comes in, I can see him being moved into midfield and moved up.
But Klopp signed a contract to 2024, so Jurgen's going to be there for at least 4 more years. If there's any more success, he may want to stick another way. So at least a quarter, or no, what is it, a third of the decade will be passed by the time Jurgen goes, and that, like, I've seen a few of them, like team of the decades where what do you call it, there's maybe lads maybe only had 3 or 4 years of sort of established success within the league, and they were being put into a team. So if Trent's there for 4 years at right back, I think it's hard to argue with him. He's got the most assists.
I agree.
Fullback.
Although I think Wan-Bissaka is the best defensive fullback in the league, possibly in the conversation to be the best defensive fullback in the world, but he can't go forward. But that can come.
Mm-hmm.
Aidan, I don't know who you've put in the right back.
What have you went for?
Well, I really wanted with really ignored Trent here, like. So, like in 2000 and...
This is the same. I had Trent in my team and then scored him out for the reason that I think he'll be moved forward.
I think it's just because of the amount of things that Trent offers you going forward. He can't really...
He offers you so much going forward, but Wan-Bissaka, as I say, I believe is one of the best actual out-and-out defenders that's at the minute. He's so hard to get around, like.
Do you think that he has to put in so much tackles because his positional awareness isn't good enough yet? Like, he is a converted centre mid. I know that Trent is too, but in our system he's very attacking, so it can...
Because, they can break the play up.
Nemanja
Matic was good 5 years ago.
No, I don't know, I like Wan-Bissaka and everything, but, Bobby Firmino chat there.
Because the only two
I like Reece James. Reece James at Chelsea's next.
You know what? Reece James at Chelsea is a good shout. Like, he definitely deserves an honourable mention, but he wouldn't get in ahead of Wan-Bissaka or Trent Alexander-Arnold.
It's crazy that England have 3 very good up and coming right backs under the age of 22,
and even at that, they still have Kyle Walker, and they still have Trippier, and
Trippier
so
too.
There's a lot of
interesting to see who they take the Euros here.
It'll be very interesting. It's a wild headache for them.
Because Southgate's been playing that sort of 3 at the back, and Kyle Walker's been playing as a third, the right centre back sort of role a wee touch, and then it'll be interesting to see if they keep. I think Trent should be starting, because if you're going to play with wing backs, that'll allow him a wee bit more cover.
Aye. Well, for our team, if I'm being honest...
are we all going 4-3-3?
Aye, 4-3-3, yes.
Fair enough.
But if I'm being honest, for our team, I would be happy enough to put Trent in. It's just my only argument was that I believe he will, by the end of the decade, we could be talking about him as one of the best midfielders in the world, or in the league. We could be talking about him as one of the best right midfielders, or, something like that. But at the same time, if he stays in right back, no doubt he could be one of the best right backs of all time, not just the last decade.
Last season he had 1 goal in the Premier League with 12 assists, and this season so far he's 2 goals to 9 assists. Set piece specialist.
It's KDB numbers at right back.
Aye, that's true. Although the system he's playing in sort of allows him.
They sort of occupy the same spaces nearly. Trent is a wee bit wider, and KDB kind of sort of fills the half space, sort of more narrow. But they do play. They're sort of. There's similarities in the way that they distribute the ball out to them and then get them and then sort of...
Plus, I've never seen anybody like Trent Alexander-Arnold, the way he can cross the ball in from anywhere. Most wide men that talk about hitting the byline and crossing in, Trent doesn't even have to get close to the byline. He can whip it in from in between the halfway line and the box, and it's still an absolute pinpoint ball onto someone's head.
I can't even remember what game.
And I hate saying that because I'm a United fan.
There was one there the other night. He took a throw in, I think maybe Joe Gomez laid it back to him, and he played it with outside of his boot across his own box to Robertson, and it was sumptuous. The man's he's got David Beckham level crossing ability, I think.
Well, I think then I'll concede that Wan-Bissaka is not in, and that we'll put Trent Alexander-Arnold in.
Trent isn't the right answer here.
Well, if we're talking about who the best defensive fullback it could be in the next 10 years,
The game's not defensive anymore, Christopher.
Tell Mourinho
that. So moving on to the centre half, it's going to sit.
What about you, Vesty? Do you want to hit us off with the centre half there?
I've gone straight in for Sayonchu at Leicester.
I have also threw Sayonchu from Leicester.
I like that there because when Johnny Evans left, when Johnny Evans left last year, I think everybody was Harry Maguire. When Harry Maguire left last year, I think everybody was sort of saying that that's going to lose Leicester's spine, and they're going to concede an awful lot of goals this year. They've been brilliant. I know they're in a wee They've lost the last couple of games, I think, at the moment. But
Bit
of a blip. But Sionchu's come in and he's been absolutely brilliant. Beside
we
Johnny Evans,
the two centre halves, and
I didn't put Sionchu in either spot.
You didn't put Sionchu in either one, no.
No,
And you like Sionchu too?
because I've went for Sionchu. Well, as for everything Aidan's just said, and I've also put Tamori in.
Right.
Two that I
had him on my list. I've went for Davison Sanchez. Beside,
right. Hold on a wee second here.
What two centre halves have you put in?
I went with Sanchez as well, so it looks like Sanchez might get in their combined 11 here. But I put Joe Gomez in here.
Oh, here we go.
Well, like I would say Joe Gomez cut it close to getting into my team. So did Sanchez. I've put them both in the honourable mentions list. But I just think Tamori, with his speed, his strength, how well he reads the game already. But then the same thing could be said about Gomez.
Gomez has accomplished more in his career than Sionchu, Sanchez.
Yeah.
All of them combined, really.
Well, that's true.
At this point in the game, I know that he didn't play in the Champions League final last year, but my case would be to make for Joe Gomez. As Liverpool started last season in a sort of grinding out style that you kind of see a wee bit from them this year, and they weren't conceding goals, and they were doing very well. Now, Joel Matip came in at a stage, and then they did start. They conceded a wee few goals at the start of that there, and but Gomez. Matip definitely filled in very well and had a brilliant second half of the season, but Gomez was the one that Klopp went with at the start of last season.
Yeah.
And then he got hurt in and around Christmas time, I think. And then hadn't got playing until the start of this year. Now, he started this year and he looked a wee bit hairy and got taken out. Matip got his spot back, but then Matip got hurt. Liverpool at the start of this season were conceding goals again. They were rightly up there. I think even Leicester had a better defensive record. Sheffield had a better defensive record. And since Gomez has come back in this time, I think they've had 8 clean sheets in the league in the bounce now from at the time of recording.
But see, I thought about Gomez. He's on my, possibilities list when I was making it out. The only thing is, the reason that Liverpool is so defensively sound, and there can be no doubt about it, is because Virgil van Dijk is possibly the best centre-half on the planet.
Possibly.
Well, probably is, yes. But, I reckon you could put any centre-half in the league beside Virgil van Dijk and they're going to be a solid centre-half partnership.
Oh, definitely.
Not that Joe Gomez isn't a great player, and I would be happy enough if he did make our 11, but...
It looks like he's not going to, and I'm very upset about this. It's just, I know that we did okay with Matip, and we've done alright with Lovren and everything. We even had Fabinho in beside Van Dijk at times, he's looked okay. But the clean sheet record and the way that Liverpool weren't conceding, they play with quite a high line, and they play with quite a high line because Joe Gomez is flying.
Well, has anyone else want to sort of put an honourable mention in?
About Joe Gomez
because we've
me and you agree.
Sanchez, Gomez, Tamori, and Sionchu are the sort of four that I would put forward for the discussion.
Sionchu's good too.
Sionchu's
big.
But people thought that whenever as you were saying earlier, when Harry Maguire left, that Leicester would struggle, and a lot of that can be attributed to Johnny Evans, who I've always found underrated, and that
good
I always thought that United maybe should never have got rid of him. But that's a conversation for another day. But I still think Sionchu has just come in seamlessly into that team, and he's been fantastic from the start of the season.
Yep.
He's big, he's strong, he wins everything in the air. He's a lot quicker than he looks.
I've seen him, he was chasing down Salah there one time, and it was pace for pace. They were both going for the ball, and he beat Salah to the ball. The man is fast.
Yeah. For a big unit, I think he's 6'1", and he's strong.
Has anyone any other honourable mentions that I'd like to throw in? It seems that between these four, maybe?
We've basically named it. There's another player I've named, but I don't think he'll be around the Premier League much longer, is Juan Foyth from Spurs, but he's more of a European player.
Well, I like Foyth too, but I don't think
a wee bit of Tanganga. Tanganga looks okay.
Tanganga looks okay.
I mean, I don't think they're in the. I think it has to be 2 out of this 4.
It does. Yeah. This seems to be. Well,
we've agreed on Sanchez.
I think Sionchu.
We didn't really talk about Sanchez. Davison Sanchez was the big.
He's been moulded as Vertonghen's sort of full-time replacement.
He's good on the ball, of course. Anyone who comes out of that Ajax academy is good on the ball.
He was in the squad when United played that
Europa League final.
Yeah.
Oh, he's been on the goal.
He scored 6 goals that season.
I have down that he's won a couple of Libertadores as well. With Atletico Nacional, there's my research. So he's and I think he won the Dutch. He might have won the Dutch league, but he's got a couple of Libertadores as well.
Not on the Spurs, but
it'll be interesting to see.
Well, the Audi Cup. You know how the Spurs fans love that.
It'll be interesting to see because that Vertonghen and Alderweireld, Alderweireld signed a new contract too, didn't he?
Yeah,
He
he
did.
has signed.
But it will be down to sort of.
Even if they have them 3 defenders, like
Well, I honestly would like to put Seanchu in, and I could be Sanchez or Gomez in beside him, but I would like to put Seanchu in. I think, can we agree on Seanchu for one of the centre?
And I think
Seanchu's had, what has he had? Only 4 good months of a season, or is sort of a career so far.
But
I'm not entirely sure what all he did. Was he in Turkey before he went to Leicester?
He was. I'm not 100% sure how he got on at Turkey myself. You know, I don't watch a lot of Turkish football. But last season he was on the bench behind Harry Maguire and Leicester.
He played for a couple of years.
Once Harry Maguire left, he seamlessly came into that team, and I mean,
he's had Bundesliga experience. He's played for 2 years with Freiburg, if I'm correct. So I think he's played like 26 games or something one season, and I'm not too sure what he played the other season, but he's played in the Bundesliga, so they must have seen that there's a bit of potential there with him.
No, he's definitely a player. Definitely a player. If you just want to go see it, am I losing the Joe Gomez fight here?
I could look half decent beside Virgil,
and that's my only thing. You know, you could put any one of us 3 into the Premier League beside Virgil van Dijk, and he'll still keep us a clean sheet. I'm
losing this, and I just want to let it be known that Joe Gomez has accomplished more in his career than all of these people combined. Maybe outside Davinson Sanchez.
Because of Virgil.
He's Virgil's understudy. Like when Virgil's 30 years of age, Joe Gomez will be 25. He'll have already won a Champions League. He'll have a Club World Cup. He'll have a Premier League, because that's definitely happening.
Well, Dejan Lovren's won all that. It doesn't make him an absolute world beater.
Dejan Lovren is the best centre half in the world, and don't forget it.
So Dejan won't let you forget it.
So we're rolling with Seanchu beside Sanchez in centre half then.
That's what I think.
I'm very upset about this.
I had Tomori in the mind, but you know, I've sort of conceded that. You know, maybe haven't seen enough.
I think this will be an
interesting. Derby alone, he was good too, but who wants to start us off for left backs?
I think this could be one of the most interesting debates of the night for left back. So
there's a lot of good left backs.
So Dave, I will go with you for this one. Wherever you want to
start off. I just went very simply. I think it's Ben Chilwell.
Ben Chilwell in my note. I had Ben Chilwell, and then I changed it.
Who have you went for?
Okay.
He doesn't play right back, but because maybe
left back,
he plays right back, I should say. But I've put him in here for the left back position.
Here we go.
I went for Reece James.
Okay, fair enough.
Well, honestly, I've actually went for Brandon Williams.
Of course, you went for Brandon Williams.
I mean, you know, he's like, I know Luke Shaw is very injury prone, but he's
arguing here because you're going to start arguing Brandon Williams, and he has done nothing compared to the likes of Joe Gomez.
Yeah, well. I've also put down Chilwell and Kieran Tierney because, you know, although Kieran Tierney's had a lot of injury troubles, I mean, you can't, you know, he is a fantastically good player. Of course, you know, he looked fantastic in Scotland, but even at that, he looked a class above everyone else.
Hopefully he stays injury free.
And plus, he's obviously got a good head on his shoulders because he was the captain. Yeah. You know, he would, and, you know.
So being so young
and getting the captain's armband of such a club like Celtic,
everybody does slag your Scottish football and that, but I mean at the same time there's a serious amount of pressure when it comes to the big games up there. Like I know the Rangers have fell off, but you're playing with an expectation that like they went invincible. You're playing with an expectation to be good every week, and like that can come with complacency too. And then he's performed well. Like I don't think Kieran Tierney's good enough. He hasn't proved nothing in England yet.
Yes,
you know, with injuries and that. But
see, that's why I didn't actually put him in for myself. And then Chilwell, I thought about too, and Chilwell possibly is the right answer because he's fantastic. But, you know, a little bit of bias in me wants to talk about Brandon Williams because, you know, at 19, like Luke Shaw is, you know, he's a good left back, but he's been kept out of the team by Brandon Williams. Brandon Williams' performances.
I like Brandon.
Plus, he's only 19 years of age, so I mean, it might be a bit young to make, but it is a predictions video, so. You know, I'm predicting that Brandon Williams could make that left back spot his own for years to come. And he's already displaced Luke Shaw from the team. And Luke Shaw, you know, is a far more experienced player, but he can't get into the team ahead of Brandon Williams. Mm-hmm. So, I mean...
He's a good player. I like the looks of him. Like, he's a wee bit feisty, he's a wee bit lively. He's good on the ball, he gets forward very well, he's pacey, he's strong, he's not like, you know... He is definitely a good shout, and I know it's
because if he is Manchester United's left back for the next 10 years, by the time 2030 comes, he'll be 29, and if he's 29 and still starting left back week in week out for Manchester United, he should definitely be in the conversation.
Oh, definitely.
However, that is a prediction too. You know,
Oh, I think
At
we'll
19,
maybe have a few sort of out there shots.
like at 19, it's hard to tell, but from what you see of him at 19, he looks great.
I'm excited too. It's just I haven't put him in because I've only seen half a dozen games, and it's like anything. Once you see a guy balling out when he's 18, 19, there's a lot of pressure piled on, and then boys just sort of fizzle out.
Can't be.
I know it's a predictions video, but I haven't put him in because
definitely worth an honourable mention. Even being Liverpool, I quite like the looks of Brandon Williams. I do think he definitely should be starting ahead of Luke Shaw, 100%.
But then, of course, Chilwell, being England left back and, just being, Chilwell's a fantastic player too. So, I would concede if you wanted to put Chilwell in. But is anyone else that want to bring up apart from Tierney, Chilwell, and
you went with Reece James
Williams? Well, yes, Reece James, actually.
Reece James, because
yes.
as we said earlier, there's a lot of right back issues. If you're talking about the England squad, there's a lot of right back contention there. Mm-hmm. I know this isn't the England 11 we're doing, but Reece James was at Wigan last year, won the Wigan Player of the Year and a few other Wigan awards. They spoke so highly about him, and they were excited to get him back to Chelsea.
Young lad's name?
See, Reece James, I would have been happy enough. Only he is a right back.
There's a couple. Isn't it Max Orange or something as well? Although he's right back as well.
Yeah, he's Orange as well.
There's a serious talent at fullback coming through.
Yeah,
there is.
He is a right back by trade, but I didn't want to
Wan-Bissaka on that side and let him not cross the halfway line.
It'll all be fine. No, but if I'm being honest, I would take Reece James out of the conversation just because he is a right back. Of course, he can play both full back positions, but
sure, Brandon Williams, is he not a right foot left back?
Well, he's playing left back.
No, he does play left back, but he is right footed as well, so it's decent enough. Chilwell, starting for Leicester.
I do like him a lot.
I like Chilwell a lot. I'm happy to concede Brandon Williams, but do you not want to give Tierney any more thought, or is Chilwell? Do you think? Well, we haven't seen him.
Haven't seen enough yet.
That's fair. That's fair. Right, Chilwell, I think.
Tierney's good, man. Tierney's really good. He's
we've seen enough. We've seen enough from him at an international level in the Champions League. Like a Champions League level. Like it's not just Scotland. We've seen enough from him to know that there is a quality player there, and he has suffered a lot from injuries, and he's sort of coming back into the fold now. But
if we mention enough players here, we'll cover all bases, so they don't look horrendous when we look back on this.
That's it.
But what do you call it?
But I'm happy for Chilwell to go in.
Chilwell's got a good delivery. He's playing for a good team. Leicester kind of established themselves as like a reasonably decent force and everything.
Yeah.
Most likely be playing the Champions League next year, a wee bit more exposure. There could be a team. Chelsea need a left back. Chelsea do need a left back. Marcus Alonso's not going to cut it anymore. Cesar Azpilicueta can play anywhere across the back line, but Chelsea could be, I know that maybe it seems like a wee bit of a lateral move how well it's doing this season, but it's a step up.
It's a step up. It's a step up.
It's the same we use when Harry Maguire.
Yes,
you know what I mean. It's a step up, even though he's your below.
That's it.
So we'll go Chilwell.
We'll go Chilwell then.
That's not bad.
So we're moving into the
centre defensive midfield.
You know what? We haven't had like a unanimous. Everybody's decided this has to be. I thought there would be like a few.
I want if not everybody is the same player I've got down for centre defensive mid, I'll be shocked, because for centre defensive mid I went for Wilfred Ndidi.
I was written on that, although I haven't really went centre defensive midfield. I've more went 3-man midfield, but sort of 2 in the middle and then 1 in
real tactical in.
Yeah, 2 in the middle and 1 in the cam position.
Right, so you're going double pivot here, right? All right.
Yeah, well, I've went in my centre midfield. One of my centre mids is Ruben Neves.
Ruben Neves is a good shout.
He could be a.
That man's.
Well, we've got three positions, but would you want to just name? I'll say the 3 that I have. And then we'll go around. So
right.
We've gone ahead, Dave. You went with Wilfred.
I've got Wilfred Ndidi because, in centre defensive mid at 23, he's fantastic. He cost 17 million, which is an absolute bargain looking back on it, He, last season, he won more tackles than anyone else in the league in any position. Actually, not only in the Premier League, but in Europe's top 5 leagues, nobody won more tackles than Wilfred Ndidi last season. He's fantastic. I think he's as good as Kante already, and he's only 23.
Bigger, stronger, although Kante's got like a wee bit of that buzz where he just kind of...
That's true too.
He's everywhere.
And then in my midfield, I've also went for... Well, I've kind of found it hard to decide between a few players here, but I've put James Maddison in, Yuri Tielemans and Scott McTominay, but I haven't been able to whittle it down.
Well,
What about you? What have you
Well, I'll
answered?
tell you my three-man midfield, and it's not too far from where you're at. So I went with Ruben Neves beside Tielemans, and then James Maddison and just in front of them,
Yes.
pulling the strings, because there's Jack Grealish is an honourable shout for a cam position,
Jack
but
Grealish is good too.
James Maddison's just fantastic.
What about yourself? Who's your three?
Right, this is where I'm definitely going to get stuck.
Oh, here we go.
Well, I went with Wilfred Ndidi as well as my holder.
Aye.
And then, this is my outside shout. I want Curtis Jones to get... I'm telling you right now, Curtis Jones is an absolute baller. Captain of the Liverpool under-23 squad. He's finding it hard to get into the Liverpool midfield, which is ticking, and that's the problem. I think that he's even said himself that when he went back down to the under-23s recently, that he didn't want to be going back down to the under-23s. He thinks he's a first-team player. He's confident. He's young. He's good in the ball. He's a great box-to-box midfielder. I know that I'm going to lose this, but I'm going to state Curtis Jones' case regardless.
Well, that's fair, but if Brenton Williams hasn't played enough games, he's played far more Premier League games than Curtis Jones.
I'm being a complete hypocrite. But I know that this is going to be an outside shout. So I know that there's obviously a ton more players that have established themselves in the league so far. Like, we haven't seen anything of Curtis Jones in any way, shape or form, but just one on the record that maybe Curtis Jones. And then my last one, I wanted somebody that's a wee bit more creative, and I thought I'll be the guy to put Phil Foden in. I know that it could be difficult. I know that there's sort of Pep still never gives him his chance. Like, he keeps talking about how brilliant he is and everything.
See, with Phil Foden,
take Phil Foden out of a Pep Guardiola system, does he function? He's small. Can he be bullied?
but you'll learn next season more about Phil Foden, because when David Silva does leave, if Phil Foden nails that position down as his own, he could be.
I have this wild notion in my head that Phil Foden still won't get a chance. I just reckon they'll move Bernardo Silva off the wing and just wing him into the David Silva mode, and then buy somebody or start Mahrez. And
well, that's true enough.
Maybe just
anyway, go ahead. So
yeah, well,
is there anybody isn't?
Well,
sort of
I've sort of a couple of other names here that I was sort of thinking about as well, like possibly Rodri, because Rodri's a very good player, although I personally don't think he's as good in the DD for that defensive midfield spot. And also Tanguy Ndombele from Spurs is another young player who's very good, although I've seen spells of him playing well, but he still doesn't seem, but again he's still acclimatising to the Premier League and the speed of the Premier League.
Look at Sissoko there at Spurs, was rid off very, very early, and then ended up has made himself started in the Champions League final. He's made a sort of decent career for himself at Spurs now at that stage. But Ruben Neves is a great shout. I think Ruben Neves,
that man's bit on the. That man's basically.
That's the problem though.
Yeah.
It's like, will
he be there?
Will Ruben Neves just hook it to Barcelona?
I can see Ruben Neves going to Manchester City.
Playing him beside Rodri.
I can see him there because Pep's clearly a fan. They're linked with him all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Every time the summer transfer window comes around, it's Ruben Neves to City. It's it's always a hot rumour.
Interesting enough stats for this Ruben Neves. So last year in the Premier League, he had 2 goals with 1 assist. And this season so far, he's got 4 goals, 3 assists. Now,
he's one of them players that
it doesn't blow you away, but he does more than that. Like he's a tactician. He pulls strings and.
Plus, he's a deep line playmaker. A lot of his creativity comes from deep because Wolves are a counter-attack inside. The counter-attack wouldn't work half as good without him and Yaron Moutinho picking them long balls. Yeah. Playing it in behind defences. I'd take either of them at United.
You need somebody that can take a ball, take a touch, turn them on, and move the ball quickly and fast up the field. And
he fits the counter-attacking style of Wolves perfectly.
Well, I don't think any of us have checked this, but I know that there's all them sort of sports websites now do second assists. It'd be interesting to see if that number would bounce up with the pass before the pass.
Yes.
See what that was like. But I think I'll probably lose out in Curtis Jones here. So do you want to just?
Well, I would like to have a quick discussion on Scott McTominay and fight a case for Scott.
Could you please tell me all about Scott McTominay, Dave? Because I would like a good in-depth discussion about Scott McSauce.
I think Scott McSauce is a great player. You need
to convince Dave here.
He started his breakthrough last season, and this season he scored some important goals for the club. I think he's not particularly fantastic at anything, but he's good at everything. He's 6'4". His physicality, he's getting stronger and stronger every week as it goes on. He improves week in, week out. He's a good enough passer of the ball. He's good enough at taking men on. He breaks up the play well. He tackles well. He's strong. He's physical. I think he's worth a shout. Of course, if we're discussing in 10 years' time, like, you know, if he is still a Manchester United player in 10 years' time and he's made a position in that midfield his own for the next 10 years, he would certainly be in the discussion.
Dave, you're a big fan.
I'm not a fan. Like, I just don't think. I think he's a good player. I don't think he's all that. I don't even think he's Darren Fletcher. I don't think he's Darren. And Darren Fletcher made a good living in the Premier League. And if you were maybe doing like a decade, 11 over a period of time, Darren Fletcher contributed a lot to some good teams and some not so good teams. But
that was because of his bad injury. He was out.
A good solid career in the Premier League. Yes. I don't even know if Scott McTominay. Like what age is McTominay? 21, 22?
23.
He's 20. Look,
just turned.
He's just turned 23, so he's right on the limit here of what we're doing. And like I know that he's kind of come on the scene a wee bit, but I think he's shining in a very poor midfield. And I
agree that it's a very poor midfield, but I also think that, you know, with Pogba been out this year, he's been our best midfielder, and we miss him through his injury almost as much as Pogba. Like,
fair enough, but like, what are you dealing with there? You're dealing with Jesse Lingard, you're dealing with
Fred Matic.
Aye. It's not a.
Well, I suppose it's easy enough to shame.
We'll throw in just a wee dig at Crippy here that we had the other week. Me and him were having this exact argument about 2-3 weeks ago, and I said that Curtis Jones is better than Scott McTominay, and he nearly was ready to slap me. And then Curtis Jones whipped in the goal against Everton in the FA Cup, nearly on the second.
But see, you know, if Curtis Jones actually makes a few Premier League appearances, then maybe he could be in the discussion.
I know that I'm going to lose in Curtis Jones here, so I'll not even make the argument. I just think that
I've put down for the other midfield. I would like to point out that McTominay got his own midfield space, and the other midfield space was Tielemans / Madison.
How is that a thing? How have you How is Scott McTominay?
Well, I was going more for, you know, I was trying to make the midfield balanced, you know, whereas Ndidi would be your defender, you know, Madison or Tielemans would be your creative, and then McTominay would be your all-action midfielder who can do a bit of everything. Because in there, works hard, gets around, puts tackles in, breaks play up, he can get the ball forward, he's a good player.
Who did you put in? Who did you put in for your centre attacking midfield, Basti?
I put in James Madison.
And then you want Tielemans as well, haven't you?
Tielemans as well, because these guys are all very young. Like Neves captain Porto when he's 19, and he's moved on to the Championship, got them up, and he's balling out in the Premier League. Tielemans went to Monaco after a few years in Anderlecht. He captained Anderlecht when he was young age as well. Didn't really work out too well in Monaco, but that was whenever they sold a lot of their players and were trying to do the rebuild.
Thierry Henry was the manager, and what an absolute shambles that was. He nearly got them relegated.
So they came over a year ago on loan to Leicester, and he's been absolutely brilliant since, and they made the deal permanent.
He's really good.
Very young.
Looked like he was struggling with a wee bit of the physicality with the league initially. But like this last few, since the start of this season, he's been very good.
He's been very good.
He's been very, very good.
Tielemans is so creative. He's so talented. Madison as well.
And we're back. So we're still in the shed, and my mum's car pulled up outside. So we're worried about background noise, so we paused it. Now we couldn't remember where we are.
So I think we were discussing.
We were talking Yuri Tielemans.
I believe we were talking Yuri Tielemans and James Madison. Well, let's try and get an idea here. I think if we're doing a centre defensive midfield and two midfielders are sort of more creative and another, I believe Ndidi has to go in. Although Rodri's a very good player, I think Ndidi's different level. If Ndidi came to Manchester United, I would be the happiest man alive.
Ndidi's very good. He's tall, you know, as for a centre defensive midfield. He's a wee bit different in Kante, as Kante is like that press and harry a man, whereas like Ndidi can.
But Ndidi's so fast too, he breaks up plays so well.
Sit right there, sit in the hole between the two centre halves type centre defensive midfielder, and then break up the play as they get caught on the break.
If we had Wilfred Ndidi, Aaron Wan-Bissaka wouldn't make half the tackles he does.
Wilfred Ndidi. I think Wilfred Ndidi's going to be hard. Will we agree on Wilfred?
I think in a defensive midfield position, it should be Wilfred. What do you think for the creative midfield position? I want Madison, you want Madison. Who are you thinking for the creative?
I did Phil Foden, but both of you have sort of went with Yuri Tielemans. Mm-hmm. So if we wanted to, like, Tielemans can play the box-to-box role because he does sort of play at a wee touch. I know that Madison's played sort of maybe off the left a couple of times and stuff for Leicester, but I think Yuri Tielemans can play a box-to-box role. Like he's a big, strong lad too. Yuri Tielemans, he's got a bit of physique about him.
A lot of energy, creativity. He can put the work shift in when he needs to.
As a box-to-box midfielder is one of the three. You kind of want that can get forward, can get back. Like, he's not.
I'm starting to fear that this might possibly just be Leicester's midfield with Ndidi, Madison and Tillmans.
Slightly worrying. Like,
we've got 2 Leicester players in defence, and we've got what?
See, this is the year that they should win the league, and then they disappear once all the good players get taken.
In the next 2 years, all of these players are going to be playing for the top teams in the Premier League and around Europe. They're not well.
Leicester put themselves together serious. Like, everybody thought it was going to be a one and done, and then they've rebuilt, and
they do have money to throw about too.
There's going to be 4 Leicester players in this team here. Like, we've sort of agreed in Sionchu, Chilwell, and Ndidi, and it looks like we're rolling with Tielemans as well.
Yeah,
that's mad. Fair enough. So we'll go with Tielemans then too.
Yeah, we'll go with Tielemans. Yeah,
and then our centre attacking midfield role. Any love for Phil Foden? No.
I like Phil Foden. It's just we need to see.
Foden, but we haven't seen as much from Phil Foden as we have from Maddison.
We've seen him come off the bench. We've seen him play in the cup games. If we've seen him,
Leicester players.
If we've seen him in the,
just like in Jack Grealish and be done with it.
Jack Grealish, I don't think makes the requirements. He's 24.
Oh, right, okay.
But like a few other honourable mentions.
Of course, he could still be great at 34 and, possibly make the team of the decade. But
you don't have to, like, as I was saying with them, watching them, things that everybody was doing for the, team of the 2010s or whatever the hell you call it. There was people that only had, like, because I remember seeing a few people put, like, Pablo Zabaleta in, and I know that he was damn good at City. But I mean...
he's still playing at West Ham.
Still playing at West Ham, but, like, but maybe only had sort of 4 good years out of it at the start of the decade sort of thing. So I think if you get to 5-6 years that are good, if you're playing at 29 and 30 and you're still playing well, I think you've got a good shout. Like, as I say, Mbappe could land. And
I'd be happy enough for Grealish to go in. I would be happy for Maddison to go in, only... an all Leicester midfield.
An all Leicester midfield with 2 out of the back.
A few other honourable mentionable midfield players is Hamza Chowdhury of Leicester.
Well, to be fair, Leicester's, kind of downfall at the minute. Well, not downfall, but, they're in a bit of patchy form, and it's kind of because Ndidi's been injured and they've been having to play Chowdhury.
Yeah.
So...
The other thing we have to consider with these Leicester players is I know that they could get snapped up by teams in the Premier League, but there's a few of them that are good enough to go to the continent. Like,
that's it.
There's a few, like...
But then the likes of a James Maddison, being English, is not likely to leave the Premier League because English players don't unless they're not getting
maybe
football.
Madison and Chilwell possibly, but I mean, then when you have like the likes of Sionchu and Ndidi and Tielemans, them boys could walk into a good few teams in the continent there.
And
that's true.
There's still even a couple other players that we haven't mentioned. Like, we haven't mentioned Declan Rice. He's like 21. And Lucas Torreira of Arsenal, he's 23.
Oh, yeah.
Lewis Cook, Tom Davies, they've sort of been a wee bit under the radar the last while, but they're still, very
very talented players.
I like Guendouzi of Arsenal.
Guendouzi at Arsenal.
You know what? I like Guendouzi. I didn't think of Guendouzi myself, but I think he's very young. He's very talented.
Slightly inconsistent at the moment.
But he's inconsistent, but
he's 20 years of age.
He's only 20, so
that comes like.
So we want to maybe change.
You know what? Even though I was just thinking that I didn't even have Guendouzi on my list or short list, but once I heard Guendouzi, I thought, you know what? Guendouzi's a good player.
Guendouzi and Tielemans.
I'd be happy enough with Guendouzi, Tielemans, and Ndidi. I didn't think of Guendouzi, but once I heard Guendouzi, Guendouzi.
He's a hard worker, like, and he can pick out a few passes as well. So he's got a bit of like that box to box role.
It'll be interesting to see how he develops under Arteta, because like Arteta will want ball playing, and he can play the ball.
Yeah,
like he gets caught on it at times, but
he gets dispossessed a lot, but that comes with him being young as well. But he is good at taking men on. He's good on the ball. He's a good passer of the ball.
Yeah. Like, and that's everything Arteta's going to want to do. Like, you're thinking he's going to probably replicate Pep as closely as you would imagine. They're both Spanish. He's been coached under him. It's going to be very, very similar. He's even started doing the inverted wing back thing that Pep does to sort of clog the middle of the field, that the wing backs tuck in and everything. So,
plus he'll be...
If you can start putting up numbers in a Arteta system, this is Arteta, you never know what the hell happens with Arsenal. Like, so, but I mean...
I would be happy with Guendouzi. It wasn't one I had actually thought about, but I would be happy to see Guendouzi in their future team.
So Ndidi, Tielemans, and we're just trying to get rid of Leicester players. We can't be that bad. And just last shout for Christian. That's okay.
Well, we'll move on to the right wing then. I'll let you start this one, Dave. Who have you got on the right wing?
Right wing. See, this is a wee bit more difficult because you want to. there's good strikers that you kind of want to have in there, and I just put him on the right because he has lined up there for you and everything. I really like Mason Greenwood. Mason Greenwood's a hell of a baller. I think we've talked about this off air multiple times. That the weird thing that what age is he? 18.
He's 18. He just turned 18 in October. 18,
and the game has already slowed down for him. He doesn't. There's like playing football at not a particularly high level in any way, shape, or form. Even with us playing that route, when you're 18, 19, 20, even up into like 20, 21, I think you rush everything.
Yeah.
You rush, you think that you have less time than you actually do. And some of the goals that young lad scored already, it just doesn't look like it takes a phase. He just looks like he has so much time already on the ball.
Yeah.
Which is scary because if somebody at that age and the game slowed down for him, he takes touches, gets his head up, looks for a pass or gets a shot away, both footed. He's a damn good player. I think
I agree with everything you just said about Greenwood, although he is a striker.
He's a striker.
And he will be a striker.
Yeah.
You know, yes, he's playing a bit in the right now, but in 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, he's not going to be in the right.
No,
he's going to be through the middle.
He doesn't have the pace.
He's not a winger.
It's just I can't put him ahead of the person that I have a striker, and I wanted to put him in.
See, so that's fair. Well, I've kind of went for a different option. I've went for Richarlison on the right.
Mm-hmm.
I think, you know, he's played 22 games this season. He's got 8 goals, 3 assists. You know, Richarlison, he's fast, he's strong, and he's got that attitude too. You know, he wants to win. He hates to lose. You know, it's that South American in him. You know, he's just rough, tough, and ready to go. Like, and
he likes to scrap.
He is. Like, I think he's like if he stays in the Premier League for the next 10 years, he'll be in the conversation as one of the best players. Who you got yourself?
First right. Well, I went for Dan James, just for the fact that he's sensational.
He's sensational.
He's adapted well to the Premier League this year. 3 goals.
James not 22.
No.
21.
Okay.
So like he's adapted pretty well. He's
the same age as Marcus Rashford.
Marcus Rashford's 22, but yes.
So there's a level of difference there, like.
Yeah, but like he's made that jump up from the Championship last year. He's come into the Premier League.
He's still
I'll not jump all over your head. Go ahead.
He's come into the Premier League and he's got 3 goals so far with 6 assists. Like, and he's been pretty much thrown into United squad. Like, he hasn't been given that sort of like, you know, we'll put him in this week, we'll let him sit for 2 weeks, we'll give him a cup game. They've thrown him straight in, and he's adapted pretty well.
He's pacey and everything, but the one thing that I'd say about him is everything's still rushed for him. It's still, I still think he runs with his head down. I know that this can
a lot of players coming from the Championship, you know, like he's improved. You can see it's getting better, but you know it might take him a season to really acclimatise to the pace of it.
See, I think it's even taken Marcus Rashford like 2-3 seasons for that to jump into him. So if it's taken Marcus Rashford, who I think is way better than Dan James, 2 or 3 seasons to get that. If it takes Dan James 2 or 3 seasons, he's 25. And I know that 25, you're probably only entering your prime, or you're at the very early stages of your prime. But then there'll be other players like Marcus Rashford, maybe Mason Greenwood at that stage, that they will have already. I don't think he's as high a ceiling as Marcus Rashford, the likes of Mason Greenwood and all that. He is. I don't think he's a bad player, definitely not. I just think that at 22, he's still. Or isn't he 22 now? 21. He's still very, very raw.
Let's see. As a United fan, I really like Dan James, but I don't think he's as good as Richarlison. They're about a similar age. And
Richarlison, all 3 of them there, Richarlison's the best.
But another option would be Sarr. He's having a real good first season at Watford.
Yeah.
You know, he had a few injury struggles and stuff, but he's come back. He seems very fast. He's hard to get the ball off. He's tricky, talented. You know, he's a good player.
He is. He's rapid. Like,
he's rapid.
He's absolutely rapid. But it'd be interesting to see what he does now, because you know it's Watford too. You know, will Watford even be in the Premier League 10 years time? I don't think he would. He could be somebody that's likely to go to the continent too. Maybe somebody like Dan James and stuff like that. There would be more inclined to be still in England.
But then the fact that he's performing so well in the Premier League,
he's playing fantastic.
You know. I think if Watford go down, that'll be a good pickup for somebody. Although I don't think they will now. Pearson's on a great run of form. Like, it'll be a while yet.
Troy Deeney comes back and everyone goes right.
Does anyone else, any other sort of names they want to throw in for the right winger?
His end product still a lot to be desired, but Adama Traore is...
Adama Traore.
I think
we're just going to nail that one that it's Adama Traore, right?
You know, I love Dan James so much, but Adama Traore just excites me, and he's, for the size of him, he's an absolute monster. And the only thing, I think it's improved a wee bit this last few months, but his end game, he's just not got the greatest eye for goal, but he's terrifying. And if he adapts that and adds that to his game, he's a world beater.
He's a fantastic dribbler, but I think Richarlison is more about him. I honestly think Richarlison, Richarlison's a great goal scorer. He's great at getting into them positions. Mm-hmm. You know, he's a good assister, and as I say, he's just got that flair about him, like that anger too, that, you know, he doesn't like to lose. He's so competitive. I don't know, I really rate Richarlison. I think Richarlison is far more likely to get a move to a bigger club, I believe.
I don't know,
Adama's turning heads
Adama's turning heads where it's just like people are terrified of him, absolutely terrified of him.
That's true, and he's getting a lot better at his assisting and things like that there, but he's still a bit clueless. And he's coming to that sort of age where, you know, if he's still a bit clueless, he might just remain clueless. You know what I mean? Yeah. Whereas Richarlison, who's younger than Adama, is already far more composed. He's a far better finisher. He's better passer.
His adaptability, like Richarlison plays.
Richarlison, I don't know. I think Richarlison cutting in onto that left and the right is just different gravy, like.
So shall we try and agree on a right winger here?
Well, I would say Richarlison, but if you two wanted to argue Adama and I was outvoted, I wouldn't be too angry. But what I'm saying is, I think Richarlison.
How is it that the Liverpool fan in the room is the one fighting Mason Greenwood's corner here?
Oh, don't worry, I've got Mason Greenwood for another position. Don't you worry about it.
Fair enough.
I'm not putting Greenwood in the right wing because he's not a right winger, and he won't be a right winger in 10 years' time.
I just can't put him in against the game. But anyway, what do we think then? Do we think Adama or?
I would go Richarlison, but if you wanted to go Adama, I wouldn't fight you over it. But I think Richarlison. I think, like, he's younger than Adama and there's already more about him. He's nowhere near as good at dribbling, but, you know, at every other aspect of the game, Richarlison's already better than Adama.
I might just go with Adama here, seeing as there's something that we maybe have yet to see from him. That, you know...
Oh, he is rapid and he is frightening and he scares defences, and I believe, I can't remember what game it was, but he completed 15 dribbles. Was it against Southampton? Or was it against, I can't remember. But it's the most dribbles that anyone has completed in the Premier League since off the records began. 15 dribbles in one match is insanity.
It's what's kind of happened this season too with Adama is, like, I mind even at the stage a couple of times last season, Espirito Santo was playing him as a right wing back, but it looks like he's giving him a lot more of a free role now. Like, he's starting to pick the ball up in central areas, picking the ball up. I've seen him come off the left a couple of times. He's picking it up and he gets doubled everywhere he goes now, and he commits, man.
Well, Nuno's doing a lot of good work with him. Like, you know, Nuno's improving him a lot, and, you know, if he keeps improving,
it might be a higher ceiling.
He might have a higher...
Like, if that man learns how to put the ball in the net...
But then, just thinking about how good Richarlison is now at 22, like, he has a very high ceiling as well.
Very, very true.
But as I say, if you both... Well, you want Adama, I want Richarlison, so you have the deciding vote.
I'm going to just go and let my Scouse bias take over, and I might go with Adama, I think. I think I might go Adama.
Fair. You know, I'm not against that. Adama, I think, is unbelievable as well.
Yeah.
Well, if we're talking left wing, I'm assuming everybody's got the exact same player written down. Marcus Rashford.
Yeah.
I hate this. How was Trent Alex? Like, Trent was coming first, and we didn't have a unanimous, and Marcus Rashford's going to be the first one that's in a unanimous.
Well, Marcus Rashford's having the best season so far of his career. In 22 games in the league, he's got 14 goals, 4 assists. In 31 games in all competitions, 9 goals, 5 assists. I mean, he's fantastic. And he's just come on leaps and bounds this year. And it's not like he wasn't good last year or the year before, he was. But just the way he can, like, he runs our attack. Like, he commits defenders, he can take people on. You know, of course, he's far better on the wing than he is through the middle. And I think that's finally been established. But, you know, his goal record from the wing is really good. At 22 years of age.
I'll just play devil's advocate here a wee bit. Do you think anything that's sort of, like, I know that he's probably sort of now starting to show his potential, but do you think anything of that? We'll have to argue a wee bit, say, right, is there anything...
Well, I do
does that have any effect the way that you are now playing? The way that, like, Ollie sets up now to play on the counter-attack, and even in games where teams do set a low block, I've seen you win balls from a corner, then break, or they've made a mistake and give the ball away in a bad position and then break. And Marcus Rashford with 10, 20 yards to run into is absolutely frightening.
But I don't think that
I'm just playing devil's advocate.
I understand what you're saying, but I think the only reason that we struggle against low blocks is because we don't have the midfield talent, on the ball to break them down. We're far better in the counter because, we can bypass the midfield, because without Paul Pogba, who's been out all season and is probably not going to play for United again, and if he does, it'll be a few games and I see him gone in the summer. But it's because of the lack of creativity and someone in that midfield who can find the passes to break. We have two energetic midfielders in McTominay and Fred who buzz about and get around. But then you look at the count, Mata hasn't been good for a couple of years anyway. Lingard's not good enough. Pereira's far from good enough. There's just the lack of creativity that makes us struggle against the low blocks and the defensive sides. But I think we should probably throw a few other... Has anyone any other names? I've a couple down here.
Bukayo Saka at Arsenal.
I've him in my list. I also think Sessegnon, although he struggled in the Premier League, slightly compared to what he was for Fulham in the Championship.
A highly rated player, obviously.
Another player who's an interesting shout, Dwight McNeil.
Yeah, Dwight McNeil's down as well in mine. I have...
Hard for Dwight McNeil to show...
True. The way they play.
Dwight McNeil's not a Burnley player here.
He's a very talented player playing a defensive side.
He's in a system where it doesn't really show his true potential and his true skill, but he's still a lot of potential in him. A couple of my notable mentions is Harvey Barnes of Leicester, Callum Hudson-Odoi of Chelsea, Martial, and also Christian Pulisic.
I've Pulisic and Hudson-Odoi down too.
There's a lot of Pulisic. There's a lot of big...
They're all good shouts, but I can't look by Rashford.
No, I agree. That's why he's in for me. So
I think
he's definitely very good. There is a couple of interesting ones there. We haven't seen enough of any of these players, I don't think. Another one. I mean, I know that he predominantly plays through the middle. It's Gabriel Martinelli. I like.
Oh yeah,
I've Martinelli written down in strikers.
He's in my strikers. Was it 9 goals in 10 games or something?
Martinelli's
he's a good player.
He's got Henry vibes. He's got Henry vibes. That sort of tall, maybe not the most strongest player, but glides across the grass, fast, likes to pull into that left channel anyway. Then that's why he's been deployed on the left at times.
Arteta's going to have a lot of fun when he ggets in, and gets the bad weeds out of Arsenal, because there's a lot of good young talent in there.
Boys
Saka, Martinelli.
Isn't Reece Nelson plays in the wing? I think.
Maitland-Niles is like a right wing back, and they've got Guendouzi midfield. Torreira's still quite young, and they've got a good young squad there. And if he gets, they've also got that centre half. He's Mavropanos or something. Mavropanos.
They've got.
Although I wouldn't say much about
as well to come in.
Him coming in, but I wouldn't say much about Mavropanos because that Arsenal backline's a shambles and he can't break into it. So
it'll be interesting to see definitely with Arteta, because they will be playing a very attacking fluid style of football. I think there's a good few players there that. But Christian Pulisic is a big one.
Pulisic is a big one.
We've agreed that Marcus Rashford's going to be the guy here. But at the same time,
Pulisic is another interesting option. He's got a few goals. He
scored a hat-trick, didn't he? He got a hat-trick.
He is a talented player. Although my thing about that would be too with Pulisic is, before he did leave Dortmund, he wasn't getting much of a look in because he was displaced by Sancho. And, Sancho was a few years younger and all the rest and displaced him. So, of course, Sancho is an incredible talent. But,
it's hard. It's hard to make his case when he hasn't lit the league apart yet. It's hard to make it. Marcus Rashford's going to win this one.
Marcus Rashford's the only one who's properly, these are all players who look like they're going to be great players, whereas Marcus
Rashford
is a great player.
Currently,
we've got that.
I think we've got our winger short. I would like to maybe throw in a wee bit of Harvey Elliott for a lad that's 16.
Oh, fantastic.
I mean, way deep shout. I've seen him play, 3, maybe 4 times this year. He played against Milton Keynes in the FA Cup and he played against Aston Villa. A good player. I know it's gonna be Marcus Rashford. It's just a long shout with Harvey Elliott. I
think Marcus Rashford's definitely the agreed upon.
We'll go with Rashford then.
We'll go with Rashford. So we're moving on to our last, but certainly not least player of the 11. So we're on the strikers. So
who have you won for, Dave? Who's your striker choice?
Went for Gabby Jesus, Man City. He's got 80 plus goals in his career for a club at the minute, and he's got 18 for his country already. He's already got 2 Premier League titles. I think that Man City will be a dominant force in the next 10 years, as there's nothing there's nothing to sway me from that. I don't think City are going anywhere. They're maybe in a wee bit of a rebuild, but I think that they'll be back. I think that the core of the Man City team have got old.
Aging out.
And I think that Company, David Silva, they're all going to fade out now, and I think Aguero's the next one to go as well. So Aguero goes, Gabby Jesus is the one to go.
Well, I personally think Mason Greenwood, he just turned 18 in October, and for all the points that you were saying earlier, how composed he is on the ball, he's frightening at such a young age. 18 a couple of months back, and he already has 10 goals in all competitions this season. He's completely two-footed. I mean, he scored 67% of his goals this year with his left foot. The rest with the right. He's got 0.87 goals per 90, which is outrageous for a guy who's just 18. I mean, he's fantastic. Who have you went for?
Yeah, so I've went for Tommy Abraham. So Abraham's 22 years old, and this is his first year playing in the Premier League. He's probably played in the Premier League before. 13 goals and 22 appearances. And in the Championship, when he was with Bristol City in the 16-17 season, he had 23 goals and 41 appearances. And when he played last year in the Championship with Villa, he had 26 goals and 40 appearances. So his goal return is pretty darn good. And he's led the line this year at Chelsea, and he's on 13 goals, and he's on his way, hopefully, I would imagine, to 20 goals for the year. He's probably cooled off a wee bit at the start of the season. He was hot, and he's probably cooled off a wee bit in the last wee while, but the potential's definitely there, and he's made that step up, kind of like.
But honestly, I think Greenwood. Between Jesus, Abraham, and Greenwood, I think Greenwood is the highest ceiling. I think in 10 years, Greenwood could be a different level. Like he's fantastic.
He's a brilliant player, definitely. I did put him in my team, and I threw him on the right wing because
you needed to get him in somewhere.
I do think that he's good enough to be in a team, and I do think it's a good shout. But I just couldn't justify putting ahead of Gabriel Jesus.
Although I think, with Gabriel Jesus, I think his all-round game's lacking. I think his
all-round game is lacking.
But he is a really good goal scorer. He's got good poacher's instinct. He knows where to be in the box, and he's a good finisher. But, he can be in and out of games, and, his hold-up play is maybe not as good. As someone like Tammy, but, like a Tammy Abraham, I think is a more all-round complete player than a Gabriel Jesus. I think his hold-up play is better, his passing, his creativity is better.
Absolutely crucifies you. I think there's a Man City fan here that's just heard Tammy Abraham's a better player than Gabriel Jesus and rinses you.
I think the one thing I will say is, it'll be interesting to see whenever if Aguero does go in the next year or two, whenever Jesus leads the line, because he's always had that comfort of Aguero,
Aguero playing most of the night.
He's come on. He started games too, and he's done well. But yeah,
I wanted to go with him.
But the way it is,
wanted to go with Jesus, and that was a younger Jesus, and he wanted to go with him over Aguero at the time. Aguero and him had a bit of a tiff, and he
although he's brought Aguero on leaps, and Aguero's a better player under Pep than he was before Pep.
Absolutely no doubt about it. But I mean,
as smart as Pep is, that's
the one hit that Gabriel Jesus has here is he's being held back, but he's being held back by one of the greatest strikers the Premier League's ever had.
Well, that's true, but Tammy Abraham is younger than Jesus, and he's leading the line at Chelsea. It's his attack force. He's Batshuayi, Giroud aren't getting much of a look in. It's Tammy's. It's Tammy's position.
Who's to say that?
And I mean, when Jesus breaks in, he could come on leaps and bounds. But I just think Tammy's all-round game's better. And honestly, as I said before, I think Greenwood's ceiling is much higher than both of them. I would want Greenwood into that team, so I would.
I don't know. How long do you think that Chelsea then don't go on another spending spree and just get another striker? And it's Chelsea. This is the first time they've ever even done anything remotely close to bringing through a youth player.
But see, Chelsea have other positions that need strengthened rather than striker. Chelsea will need to bring in another centre half or two. And maybe a couple of defenders. They maybe need another midfielder. And I'm sure they probably will bring in another striker. I can't imagine, when the summer comes, Giroud will be gone, Batshuayi will be gone. But I think that's Tammy's position now for the next 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, I think Greenwood is going to break into this United team sooner rather than later. I think by the time he's 20, 21, I can see Martial being moved on. I love Martial. I think he's a fantastic player. But I can see in the next couple of years, 2 to 3 years, Greenwood making that position his own and that being his position for 15 years.
That's fair. That's fair enough. But I mean, you're saying that Greenwood will break in. He's 16, 17 now. So in 3 years he'll be 20.
He's 18 now, but he's just turned 18. He was 17 at the start of the year.
So he'll break into the team in and around the time that Gabriel Jesus, at the age that Gabriel Jesus is now, roughly thereabouts. And Gabriel Jesus is only being held back by the fact that he's behind Sergio Aguero. And then Sergio said that he wants to he wants to go back and play in Argentina to finish out his career. So I think Aguero's maybe got one more season.
Yeah.
I think that then that's straight into Gabriel Jesus time. And
well, have we anyone else that we want to sort of throw in there? Like?
Well, he's not at the same sort of level as maybe the three we've mentioned, but he's also got a wee bit of potential in him. Dominic Calvert-Lewin. He's
a good player, but I just think that his ceiling's where it's at. I think he's not getting a
big money move.
He's a big physical striker. Tammy Abraham's a big physical striker, and we know which one's better of the two. I think.
Yeah,
that's it. Like, you know, one of them. You know, if Kane's not playing this summer, there's only one of them that's going to be in the plane to start up front, and it's Tammy Abraham. You know, it's not Calvert-Lewin.
It's not Calvert-Lewin.
No,
you know, I like Calvert-Lewin, and he's coming on a bit, but I don't know.
Yeah, we need to have seen more by this stage.
And then Martinelli as well is another
goal return.
No, he doesn't.
Like Martinelli is another one that could be in the discussion, but again, I think. He's not as good as Jesus, he's not as good as Abraham, and he doesn't have as high a ceiling as Greenwood.
I don't know, man. I did want Greenwood in myself, but I just couldn't justify putting him over Gabby Jesus. As far as me going down my team, Gabby Jesus was it was him and Trent and Ndidi were the ones that I was like nailed on, confirmed they have to be in my team.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, I can understand why you want to leave Greenwood out, because it's the same thing that we discussed whenever discussing Williams and discussing Curtis Jones. Of course, he's maybe played more than both of them, and he's maybe looked a lot more promising than both of them. But at the same time, I can understand, you know, I would be happy enough to take a step back with Greenwood reluctantly, you know, but I would be happy enough to, if I had to choose between Jesus and Tammy, I'd go Tammy.
I think I would go Tammy as well, just because he's got a good goal return and
Tammy Abraham over Gabriel Jesus.
Yeah.
Simply because of the fact that I
think Tammy's more complete. You know, he's big, he's strong, he's fast, he can hold the ball up, you know, he brings other players into, you know, Jesus is a goal scorer, but that's all he is.
And what's wrong with that?
Nothing.
I want to see one season where Jesus is leading the line himself without Aguero. Like, it's fine coming onto the bench after, you know, Aguero's been started and coming on, getting a goal or two, or starting the odd game where Aguero has a lot of wee niggly injuries. He's out for a couple of weeks. You know, Raheem Sterling stepped up a lot of the goal scoring whenever, like, you know, Aguero was out.
Raheem's fantastic record.
Like, and then Jesus had that crazy stat. We don't know exactly what it is, but he didn't score at the Etihad for quite a period of time, maybe like half a year or 10 months. I don't know what it was, but
that's it. And my thing about it too, I know it's the championship and it maybe doesn't count as much, but you know, Tammy's led the line at 3 different clubs now, and if you want to count Swansea, 4. Jesus hasn't led the line at City yet.
He's
got games, he's got starts, he's been in and out, and he's covered Aguero well with injury. But sometimes when Aguero is injured, they play Sterling through the middle.
When Tammy Abraham was playing in the Championship, Gabriel Jesus was playing in the Copa America for Brazil, was playing in the Champions League for Manchester City, winning league titles. And I know that he wasn't maybe the direct focal point of an attack than it is Sergio Aguero, but he's filled in more than admirably when Aguero's been out. And he had to be displaced. Firmino had to displace him. And we all know how good Roberto Firmino is. I know that he's more of a link-up player than a goal scorer, but he was Brazil's number 9 there for a good period of time. So
he's brilliant.
And what's going to happen?
He's a great goal scorer, like, but just with I think Tammy's got more about him. I don't know why.
It's Tammy Abraham then. This is what
it looks like. We're rolling with Tammy.
Put on record that Dave said Gabriel Jesus, and it was the other two that went with Tammy Abraham.
I'm just upset that we didn't go with Greenwood, but you know.
It's nothing to do with the fact that we're United supporters and Jesus is a City player. It's nothing to do with that at all.
Liverpool fan. It's not like I like Manchester. Right. I have more reason to like them than you. You're more down there with Sheffield.
I think that we should give her 11 a wee recap.
Yeah, let's give it a run.
Decided.
So with our 11, with who went in net? Dean
Henderson.
Dean Henderson. There we go. We've got Dean Henderson in net. Ahead of Kepa, but
exactly right.
Henderson's already a better keeper than Kepa.
Screw Kepa.
Fair enough. So we went with Dean Henderson in net. We went with Trent Alexander-Arnold at right back. We went with Sionchu and Davinson Sanchez at centre half, and we went with Ben Chilwell at left back. And then in our holding midfield role, we went with Wilfred Ndidi and Yuri Tillemans and Guendouzi as the two sort of, you know, eights or whatever way you want to put it. And then on the right wing, we went with Adama Traore, the left wing, Marcus Rashford, and we went with Tommy Abraham up front.
We went with Tommy Abraham.
We went with Tommy Abraham, who's been on a goal drought.
That's a damn good 11.
You know what? If you had let me
Not
put,
one of them's going to be right.
if you had let me put Richarlison in there, would have won one guarantee. But you know what? I think that's a good 11.
It's
And
not bad.
it's possible that we look back at 10 years and be like, how wrong do we get it? But looking at some of them players, it's possible we looking back in 10 years and be like, we got pretty close.
We said like the age was 23, and for a lot of the 11s, if you've had 6 years, so by the time that if we've went 6 years by the time that then you've got 6 years out of the 10, then most of them guys will be moving on towards 30, and they'll have a good argument of being consistent enough throughout.
No one that we've put in here, is going to be older than 33 by the time 2030 comes.
Yeah.
They will all probably still be playing in the Premier League, if not another one of Europe's top 5 leagues for.
And again, we sort of went with people that are played in England, and like Mbappe could show up and he would walk straight into the team, you'd imagine.
Yeah,
so
this is as it stands.
As it stands, people that have played in England that could have a progressively good career over the next decade.
I think we did.
We did all right.
Yeah, we did. I think
definitely
did pretty well.
Did all right.
That's a solid
I'm happy
11.
enough for that 11.
Well,
So,
Well, if Greenwood and Richarlison made it, I'd be happier. But
fair enough. No, it's a good.
maybe
11.
Bratton Williams.
It's a good 11. But it's not bad.
no, it's pretty good. We've done pretty well there.
I think that's
we'll
a
maybe
good.
wrap it up there.
We'll wrap it up there.
Just sort of bit of housekeeping information. We're recording. We're going to preload our podcast. We're going to record a number before we put any out, and then we're going to try and get them on all the platforms. I think we're going to hit YouTube first as it's the easiest to upload. So if you want to listen to us there, if that's where you are listening to us, whoever you are, and then we're going to try and get on the sort of more podcasty type.
I will try and get on to Podbean. We'll try and get on to iHeartRadio, Spotify. It might take a bit of time, but we'll try and get it on to as many platforms as possible. So you great people can listen to us wherever you want.
Give us some money and get us out of the shed. We're definitely. We're gonna try and have. I made a Twitter page and Instagram and all that carry on today too. So we're gonna try and have everything sort of
set
ready to rock and roll.
Yeah.
For the date, we're gonna try and aim for.
Start of
February to get everything up and going, and then we're going to try and release 3 podcasts a week,
and
one on the individual topics, our nerd stuff. Football is going to be a big one, and then we're going to try and cover American sports.
Yeah,
so there's something for everybody, hopefully.
Basketball, a wee bit of NFL, maybe a wee bit of wrestling.
These are the things that we're into, and there's some of us will talk about some things, some of us will talk about other things.
Tom doesn't know anything about football, hence why he's not here.
Dave might show up for the Nerd podcast.
When he's not hungover.
When he's not dying.
It was a bad hangover, boys.
Right.
But
thanks
definitely.
very much for listening. Give us comments, likes, all that sort of stuff on YouTube.
Comment your 11 below. It'd be interesting to see what other people think, how wrong they think we got it, if they think we got it okay. Definitely subscribe, like,
give us a thumbs
some
up.
love.
And somebody definitely take the hand out of Tommy Abraham as a better all-round player than Gabriel Jesus. And I think we should end it on that note.
Good luck!
Good luck.